Welcome to San Antonio, Texas, and remember the Alamo Dome is home to the Roadrunners of UTSA, and we are fired up to get this game underway. Today, an in-state battle between two teams from the state of Texas, and when you face off against another squad from the Lone Star State, the emotions tend to run a little higher. As we'll see a team fresh and ready to go off a bye week, the Rice Owls, taking on a team recharged after a much-needed bye week, the UTSA Roadrunners. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, joined here in the booth, as always, by David Pollack and Jesse Palmer. Guys, let's tee this one up. Rice ready to kick it off and get this game started. And he takes this from inside the 5. Nice job by the kickoff team. Everybody stayed in their lanes, and they'll stop him at the 16. So UTSA's offense is on the field for the first time today. And not only is this guy the energy and the engine of the offense, there's a certain charisma that he has that sort of elevates everyone around him.
He's got a moxie about him, Reese. Just seems like when he's in the huddle, he's got 10 other sets of eyeballs looking at him and believing in him to lead this offense down the field towards scoring points. This guy is a leader in every sense of the word.
And the Roadrunners want to crank the tempo.
Well, not a lot the defense could do on that play. They got a curl route. They're playing zone coverage. Everybody got dropped to their spots correctly, but there was just way too much velocity on that throw. They didn't have a chance to break that one.
Knocked down after picking up 5 out to the 24. Boy, could they use a conversion on 3rd and short from their own 24. They'll try to run for it. At the 35, he's got room. Gets it to the 46-yard line. First down for this offense. The Roadrunners come to the line with a fresh set of downs.
It's a really good sign if you're on offense here. You're putting it on your offensive line on 3rd down. Critical down and distance, opening drive of the game. Let those guys fire up.
And he holds it in at the 25. Slippery slide, find his way and ran away from the crowd into the end zone. Touchdown, UT San Antonio. You want to talk about a great way to start the game and set the tone early.
It's so nice to have a quarterback just get himself into the game, get himself established. You make a couple throws, you lead your offense down the field, you score right off the bat. Could not have been a better start for that QB.
Buys just enough space to cross the 25. Let's mark it at the 27-yard line. So the Rice Owls offense will have its first possession of the game. And you want to talk about dudes who can bring the heat off the edge, David? Both of these teams have somebody that can do just that.
Man, so much fun. They get off the rock and they get in the backfield and get to quarterbacks. Make them feel uncomfortable, get them to the ground. These guys change the way offenses are playing the game.
These offensive coordinators better help out their quarterback. These guys need to be double-teamed with tight ends and running backs. You let these guys go one-on-one, you're asking to get sacked.
A little pre-snap eye candy for the defense. He'll pull it down. Good little pickup there as he saw some daylight and got what he could.
Well, great job there by the defense because they weren't able to get him sacked right away, but you saw the coverage in the back end. Nowhere for the quarterback to throw the football. Didn't get the sack, obviously. You don't get the negative play, but you also don't give up a big one. You're feeling pretty good about where you are right now.
He tosses one high and deep down the left side. It's complete. A huge pickup. Who gives a hoot? The Owls do. It's a touchdown. He broke away from the defense, and they couldn't catch him. And the extra point is good. Quick strike offense on that 3-play scoring drive. And the score comes on a huge play in the passing game, covering 67 yards to the end zone. Here he comes from inside his own 5. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. UTSA will take over in the offense, ready to return to the field. Boy, David, they would love to stack another touchdown on top of that last drive.
And this offense did such a good job on the last drive. Everything in rhythm, moved the ball down the field, didn't make those mistakes, Jesse, and they need to do it again on this one.
Yeah, you're right. They had the defense on their heels. You wonder what sort of communication was going on that sideline. What sort of changes were they able to make because they got to stop the bleeding right now.
And the Roadrunners moving quickly to the line. Shotgun snap, wants to throw it on third. And here's a fumble way behind the line. Defense coming up with a huge fumble recovery.
Those are hard for offensive linemen when they get beat and you're going, no, look out for your blind side, watch out. But that great job rushing the quarterback, getting him on the ground and getting the football out, a little extra bonus. Nice job by the defense getting nasty.
Steaming into the backfield to make the stop, and he'll lose 4. Defense rolls up deep in its own end on that last play. Now a second and long coming. He pushes his way down to the floor as they get closer and closer.
All right, so now you're in this third down situation close to the goal line, and it just feels, David, like they're going to have to throw the football in order to score a touchdown here. I like maybe trying to get the quarterback outside on the perimeter and give him a run-pass option.
I like that, too. Get the quarterback on the move. And here's the thing. If I get close and I get stopped, it's fourth down. Fourth down means go for it. That's all that means now today in college football.
And as they come to the line of scrimmage, they're passing on the field goal. But look, worst case scenario, you don't get it here, they're backed up in their own end. Hit as he throws, and the ball goes right to the ground, incomplete.
Nice job by the defense. Great pass defense, getting in the lanes, doing a really good job understanding they were going to throw the football on this fourth down. They played it well. Incomplete pass. Defense turns to offense.
He's brought down, but there's a flag on the play. Let's see if it stands. We'll repeat the previous down, but this time the offense has 10 more yards it has to cover. Looking for a productive play on first down. They'll leave it with him. At the 15, he's loose. That is exactly what you're looking for when you talk explosive plays. The defense finally able to make the stop. Pre-snap motion in the backfield. Quarterback flips it ahead quickly to the receiver. Each brought down, but he went backwards after that completion, not the way they had it drawn up. After losing a couple on that last play, here's 2nd and 12. From the gun, running back on the move. Really nice run there. Good, solid pickup, and they'll move the sticks for the first down. The Roadrunners come to the line with a new set of downs. Defense in press coverage. Moving the running back, trying to get the D to tip its hand. And he'll find enough running room to get it just short of midfield at the 49. And the Roadrunners are in the hurry-up. Got his man quickly. Still running at the 40. They are on the move down to the 32, and they pick up another first down. Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs. Pulls and fires it complete to the right. He stopped just short of the goal line at the 1. An explosive play has him set up. The Roadrunners have it in scoring position on 1st and goal. Here comes the option. Into the end zone he goes. Touchdown, Roadrunners. Now that's the way to bail out the rest of the team. Start with bad field position, put together a drive anyway.
And very confident. You can see the quarterback just had a bit of a swagger race. He was like, look, all right, we're starting deep in our own end. Special teams didn't help us out, but we can fix that right now, fellas. And they went out and looked so good on that last drive.
On the run from inside his own 5. Really disciplined job by the coverage unit to get down there and make the stop at the 19. Rice takes over the Owls, ready to get that offense cooking again. And they picked up 9 on first down. It'll bring up 2nd and short.
Well, it's plays like that that'll help this offense stay in rhythm all game long. If you can have that kind of success on first down running the football, it just opens up your entire playbook moving forward.
Really good job to pick up a chunk of yardage and get it out to the 39-yard line. They've come out with answers on this possession, and now another first down. Catch in the middle, it's Williams. And they exploited that soft spot, and they get it down to the 35.
One of the things that makes this guy so dangerous is how good he is after the catch. If he's got any space around him, he's able to burst. He's able to make people miss and get extra yards.
And the Heat gets home. They knock him down back at the 45. We have the early makings of a quarterback duel, as these stats will show you. They are lined up and ready to go and get things started here in the second. First down sack, pushes it back. Now it's second down. Keeps it on the bootleg, looking to throw. On the move, he fires. Intercepted. Trying to take it back. And they capitalize not only on the pick, but the great return to give the offense tremendous field position. Line gets set, first down. They'll put the tight end in motion. From the gun, he leaves it with the back. And he'll pick up one. It brings up 2nd and 9. And the Roadrunners want to pick up the tempo. The give to the back. Nice, solid form tackle from this sophomore. They line up, and it is a long way to the sticks from here. On third down, going up top. Hits him in stride inside the 10. And he ran away from the crowd, and he'll take it in. Touchdown, UTSA! The defense just lost track of him. There's no other explanation. I've got to assume they knew he was in an eligible position.
Or it was just ridiculously good scheming on the offense, Reese. I mean, just an unbelievable job of getting your guy wide open.
He'll start the return inside his 5. Able to find enough room to get it out across the 25. He's brought down at the 26. Rice has the ball back, and they're ready to send the offense back to the field. Now we'll get a chance to see if they can answer that last score, trailing by 14, Jesse. Yeah,
and at this point in the game, I feel like offensively, you should go back to what's been working for you in this game. Don't be afraid to dial up plays that you've already had.
And the Heat will get home, and the quarterback goes down at the 17. Not exactly the ideal situation for this offense. 3rd and long, backed up inside their 20. And they took a shot on that one, but couldn't make the connection. It's incomplete. Rice will be forced to send out the punt unit. Doesn't say much for your drive when you're looking forward to the punt. Here's the fair catch, but there is a flag on the field. We might have to do this one again.
Roughing the kicker. Defense.
The officials offer the deal, and the coach accepts it. They will take the penalty. So the offense keeps its drive alive thanks to the roughing the punter penalty. To the air on first down. Gets it out fast. He's brought down. Solid pickup, but a little bit short of the first down.
And a really nice job by the wide receiver. You run a drag route, find space. They're in zone coverage. They're not covering man-to-man. Find a little hole. Look at that QB. Y'all get on the same page. You could tell they were, and that's why they got the first down.
Quarterback, quick pass to the receiver. Found enough room to get it into enemy territory. They're down at the 43-yard line. Rice going to work with another 1st and 10.
I love that play call, and I love the timing of the pre-snap motion. Because the quarterback was able to get it to the receiver right behind the offensive line, because of the timing, he was able to outflank the defense. That puts him out in space where he's able to use his speed. Nice job with the pre-snap motion and timing.
Rice rushes to the line. Wide receiver now comes in motion. With jet sweep pass. He's run out of bounds, but a big play on that one, and it'll be a first down. New center downs right on the doorstep for this offense. With the run on 1st and goal. They get him on the ground at the 3-yard line, but this defense is taking some punches.
You know, with defense, it's this pick-or-poison game, right? Like, I got to play a little bit soft and make them run the football, but when I do that, I give the running back space, and right there you could tell he takes advantage of it.
He's knocked down in the backfield. He'll lose a couple. After a drive this long, a field goal would be a punch in the gut. It's 3rd and goal. And that's incomplete. A defender all over him. Knocked the ball to the ground. 4th down coming up. It's wise not to be too greedy, and they'll go ahead and send out the field goal unit. And the try is no good. And after the miss, it's still a 14-point game.
And that's just the chip shot. That's just a field goal they got to make, guys.
Nice move to pick up yardage. And he finds some solid space, makes a nice game before the defense is able to stop it. He wants to throw here on 2nd down. Fires to the big fella. A quick tackle made, but he's got plenty for the first down. Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs. Quick completion on the out route. Finally run out of bounds, but he has this offense rolling with the first down. Tempo and overdrive.
Man, that play takes some protection. If you're going to stick it in the belly and that wide receiver is going to run down the field that far, I need some good protection, and I need my lineman not to go downfield. Nice job by the quarterback making the right read, being patient, throwing that strike.
The give to the running back from the shotgun. Gives him the big stiff arm. He will step out of bounds, but not before the big pickup and a first down for this offense. We've reached the 2-minute warning, and they will try to build on what has already been a dominant first-half performance. They've got it at the 37. It's 1st and 10. He wants to throw. Using the quick game. They make the stop, trying to pick up just a little bit at a time to get to that first down marker.
It's definitely the wide receiver's job to create space, right? So whether you're running a go or you're running a hitch like this right here, I got to find a way to push off legally or just create a little bit of space to get some positive yards.
That's a good decision by the quarterback. I know that's not going to come up on the stat sheet, but you're in the pocket, nobody's open. Don't risk turning it over. Just throw it away.
Ball at the 31, 3rd and short coming. Defense trying to rise up. From the gun, wants to pass. Got it in the middle, it's Wallace. Just outside the red zone as they pick up the first down. They'll spot it at the 22. He might have expected to see this DB up in his receiver's kitchen. Instead, nice little zone, and they pick up the first.
Man, offenses are getting so good, Reese, at seeing the holes in the zone, knowing you're in zone, knowing where to sit down, how to make it an easy pitch and catch for the quarterback, and that's what it was on 3rd and short.
And here comes the offense on 2nd down. Firing toward the end zone. He caught it. He'll be stopped just short of the end zone, but they'll have it 1st and goal. This offense has been a juggernaut, and they have a chance to pad their total just before halftime. Nowhere to run on that one. He loses 4 on the carry. Quick timeout call by the offense after the play.
Maybe that stop is a good sign for this defense. Maybe the defense is starting to figure it out. Obviously, offense has been running the football with so much success. Something has to change. That was a good start.
On 2nd down, wants to throw. And it's caught! Touchdown, UT San Antonio! No midseason doldrums for these guys as they push out the lead in Week 6. And the extra point is true, and the lead balloons to 21.
One of the areas they really focused on with this receiver in the offseason is we need you to make more plays for us in the end zone. When we're taking shots, we need you to be able to step up and make tough catches. And David, what a grab right there.
And I think a lot of that has to do with trusting your guy, knowing where he's going to be, knowing when he's going to sit down, when he's not. So being on the same page, and then having a...
He's going to let one fly down the middle. And this is dropped. Incomplete pass. He had a huge gain in his fingers, and he couldn't hold on. They'll try again on second down after the incompletion. Dropping back, it's Gibbs. Feeling some heat. He'll try to do it himself. Timeout is called, and it's the defense wanting to make sure that everyone's on the same page for this big down. They line up with some serious work to do if they want to convert this one. On third down, he'll try to pick it up through the air. He'll throw one to his right. He's got it downfield for a huge gain. Defense on skates that time. They finally drag him down at the 42.
Well, it didn't take long for this guy to leave his impact in the game, guys. With that catch, this guy's already over 100 yards in the game, and we're not even done the first half.
They'll throw it on first down. Getting some heat. And they got him for the sack. They'll use a timeout right before halftime. Maybe time for one or two more plays. Just a few seconds remaining here as they try to put something up before halftime. Wants to fire on second down. He hurls one deep down the left side. He caught it. And he got away from the defense and takes it in. Touchdown, Rice. And with the extra point, they trail by 2 touchdowns, 28-14. They've got it down to a 2-touchdown deficit, trailing by 14 and about to kick it away.
14.
On the move from inside his 5. They finally make the stop, but that one will make those halftime stats look a little nicer as we head to the break. That's going to wrap up the first half here, and now we join Kevin with the halftime update.
Guys, a stirring start to things today in San Antonio as we say hello from our broadcast studios. Each of these two offenses has looked like well-oiled machines, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out these two passing attacks have run circles around these defenses. Man or zone, nothing seems to be working, and I'm not sure that defensive coordinator is going to be able to figure things out here at halftime.
The Roadrunners will kick it off to start the second half. Looking for an alley from inside his own 10. Not a lot of space to be found. Good hustle by the coverage team, and they stop him at the 21. Rice takes over the Owls, ready to get that offense cooking again. If they're going to get on top in this game, they're going to have to find a way to get the running game going in the second half.
Agree, so it can create some more balance, some more unpredictability. I feel like this defense has got a good beat on what they're doing, especially if they don't mix it up a little bit. So I do look for a little second half running the football Palmer out of this group.
And I think the thing, Dave, is they just got to be more physical. I don't think this is a scheme question about trying different run plays. I think it's up to the big fellas up front. They've just got to make the decision that they're going to be tougher here in the second half so that they can win this game.
I know it's sexy to throw the football, but if you can pound it away and get these kind of gains, they will just add up, wear the defense down, get first downs, and ultimately get some points.
Tackled after picking up the first down. Rice rushes to the line. Trying to surprise him with the pass. Pocket starts to collapse.
Defense is all about creating negative plays, and he does a really good job at the quarterback spot of not taking sacks. Like, that's a great job. He wants to throw the football. The clock goes off, he takes off, and gets a positive gain.
Wants to throw. It's Gibbs. A shot toward the end zone. And he's got it. Touchdown! They'll try to tack one more on their score. And the extra point cuts the lead to 7, 28-21. And let's check in with Kevin Connors in the studio. Kevin?
Guys, let's get you up to speed on what's going down in this fun college football game today. Illinois is trailing right now, but let's be honest. The program that turned out Jeff George should never be counted out of any game. It's a touchdown game. They're trailing by 7 to UCLA. Just another week of college football where we've come to expect the unexpected. Fellas?
And how about that one? Kevin will be keeping an eye on everything going on elsewhere. And how about that catch and run? So dangerous, this guy. Here's a quick throw out to the left.
I love offenses and quarterbacks that are willing to take the easy stuff. Take those easy throws that are guaranteed to get positive yards. Yeah, I'm going to take big shots down the field too. But don't forget, it's easier to pick up 2nd and 5, 3rd and 5.
Speeding down the left side. He's at the 20. Touchdown, Roadrunners. And once he found open space, the band might as well start playing.
This offense looked unstoppable in the first half, lighting up the scoreboard, and it doesn't look much different here in the second half. They take their first drive of the third quarter, march down the field and score. There's no end in sight for these guys.
Almost ready to kick it away after scoring the touchdown. He'll bring it back from inside his 5. Didn't find any crease in that kickoff coverage, and he'll be stopped at the 17. Rice has the ball back, and they're ready to send the offense back to the field. This is when the pressure can ramp up a little bit on an offense, David, when they start feeling the heat to answer a score.
And I think being down 14, you can kind of feel that way. But, dude, if you put a good drive together, this is a 7-point game, so Palmer, no need to panic.
I was just going to say, David, I mean, this thing can flip quick. You go down, score, all of a sudden your defense gets a stop, or who knows, better yet, gets a turnover. This game is entirely different.
And he'll move his way forward to the first down. They'll mark it at the 35.
Well, he was putting up big numbers coming into this one. We knew the quarterback was going to go his way early and often. And with that last catch, he's now got over 500 yards receiving on the year.
And sticking to the run. I tell you what, a lot of teams that are really good are really stubborn, and they continue to run the football even with little success. So this offense is going to continue to focus on running the football, you can tell.
Looking to scramble. Nothing doing downfield. He'll cut his losses and throw it away. It'll be 3rd down.
A nice job by the quarterback there. You're outside the pocket. Nobody's open, so you throw the ball away knowing that you still have more chances to get this first down.
On 3rd and long, trying to have a big completion here. Fires to the big fella. And he's a real nowhere man, tackled in this no-gain land. On 4th down, looking to pass. And that pressure just engulfed him. A sack for this defense.
Yeah, and down by 2 scores, I guess you get to the point where you got to say, I'm going to go for it. We got to be aggressive. We got to make this happen. They tried to make it happen. The defense comes up big. Now, it is not looking good.
Grabbed over the middle. It's Wallace. Got a lot of running room. Touchdown, UTSA! And they take it in for 6 more points.
You know, quarterbacks and receivers, they develop confidence and chemistry as the game goes on. These two right now are definitely on the same page.
About to kick it away after scoring the touchdown. From inside his own 10, let's see what he gets. He was hoping for something a little more dynamic, but they get him on the ground at the 20. Rice takes over the Owls, ready to get that offense cooking again. They're down by 21 points, but you get a touchdown here, and you do at least apply a little game pressure, Jesse.
It's true. I think for them to get back in this one at this point now, they need the quarterback to play his best football. He's going to have to be good really pre-snap, David, making sure they're in the right looks, and he's got to be really good with his decision-making.
He's got to be dialed in because defensively you're giving up points. So it's not like you have the luxury of the defense playing great. The offense is going to have to...
Going for the big play. Got it in stride at the 15. And he'll take it all the way. They couldn't bring him down. Touchdown, Owls.
Really nice job working the route and getting himself open. He was able to locate the football, snag it out of the air, and this guy now has 5 receiving touchdowns on the year.
About to kick it off after punching it in for the touchdown. And he takes this from inside the 5. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. UTSA takes over in the offense, ready to hit the field. This has been exactly the way you draw things up, David. The offense has really been moving the football.
And it's been great execution. They've done exactly what they've wanted to do, build the lead. Now Palmer's a different animal. Now you got to protect it.
You can tell they were paying attention in practice this week in the film room because they have gone out, everybody right now on the same page.
The give to the tailback. And they try the middle of this stout defense, and they rise to the challenge. And the Roadrunners will hustle to the line. On third down, he drops to throw. Fires one high and deep. The receiver was doubled, and they picked it off. Got some room to run. And a big return after the INT set.
Nice break. Good job by the defender understanding that ball had some air underneath it. Takes advantage of it, goes and makes the big play.
Rice has the ball back, and they're ready to send the offense back to the field. Trying to make magic with his feet. Couldn't ask for much more there. A first down, and they're down to the 42. Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs.
Man, that's so frustrating, and it happens so fast. He just pulls it down. It looks like pass. He pulls it down, and he's gone. Just like that, chewing up yards. So much speed, so hard to stop.
Looking for the end zone. And it's caught. Touchdown, Owls. This game must be moving so slowly for this quarterback. He sees everything 2 or 3 beats ahead.
Way ahead. I mean, it's been really, really easy. I better get some more hits on him. I better do something to make him feel uncomfortable. Because right now, it's just like, oh, you're running that? Yeah, that's easy. I mean, he's already read your mail. You better change the address, do something different.
Didn't find any crease in that kickoff coverage, and he'll be stopped at the 17. UTSA will take over in the offense, ready to return to the field. One of the most valuable things a quarterback can have, David, short-term memory. Just forget that last pick.
You're dang right. Clear the mechanism. It's over, move it behind you. Some players can't do that real well, and it leads to more mistakes, Jesse. You got to just forget about it and move on.
And I think the coaching staff can help him too, David. I think you can get the running game going here and also give him some easy throws.
Got his man on the right. And they reacted well to the completion, but it was too late to keep him from getting the first down. No reason to panic when you see those extra bodies coming. Just find the big tight end.
Well, and the great ones do that. The great ones are okay. You want to blitz? I know my answers. I'm all right. I'll stay patient. Find the matchup. This time it was the tight end. Finds the tight end, throws a strike, gets the first down.
As they get set to snap it, time winding down here in the quarter. Going to the running game. And they'll drag him down. That's likely the last play of the third quarter. At the end of the quarter, guys, it's UTSA holding the edge. And as we switch ends of the field, let's take a quick look at the national rankings. Not only is the scoreboard on their side, but so too is time as we open the fourth. Now facing a third down as they come back to the line after the break. They'll try to get the first through the air. Catch in the middle, it's Wallace. And he's knocked down immediately, but not before he moves the chains.
Well, this guy's been a go-to guy for this offense all game long. We've seen that, and here on a critical third down late in the game with the lead, guess who shows up with another big one? That guy.
The Roadrunners in the hurry-up.
At this point of the game, the offense has the lead, and the offensive coordinator knows they want to keep running the football. So he's going back, he's looking at his playlist, and he's saying, which runs work the best for me in this game? What can I lean on right here to make sure we win this one?
On 3rd and long, try to convert through the air. He's got it. At the 20, he's got space. Touchdown, UT San Antonio. And once he found daylight, it was Katie bar the door, baby. That should move them closer to this elusive second win of the year as they build this fourth quarter lead.
That's a nice job by this offense. Nice job putting a drive together late. This might seal this football game. And nice response. It's nice to be home, isn't it? Come back to the home crowd after you've lost a couple games. Get some mojo going back in your way.
And good work by the coverage team to knock down the return man. Rice takes over the Owls, ready to get that offense cooking again. Wide receiver shows motion. Quarterback making adjustments with his receivers. He's looking to throw it. Unloads to the wideout. On target over the middle. And he was loose and in the open field and on his way. A tremendous pickup on that one. They'll throw it on 1st down. Snagged in the middle. It's Walton. They stop him just short of the 1st down, but it will be 2nd and inches coming up.
I think if you're the head coach at this point, you're telling your offense, it doesn't matter what's happened up to this point of the game. Obviously, things haven't gone our way, but we have a chance to execute in a 2-minute situation and give ourselves a chance to win. Let's go do it one play at a time.
He's looking to throw on 3rd and short. And the ball is picked off. He'll try to take it back. And he was weaving his way and finally brought down around the 23-yard line. The offense lining up for a 1st down play. Looking to move it through the air. Got it in the middle. It's McCall. And how about the efficiency on that one? It'll bring up 2nd and 4. And the Roadrunners have taken it inside the 20. He's going to pass on 2nd down. They're trying to get to him. That pass is incomplete, and they might be fortunate it wasn't knocked free for a fumble. It'll be 3rd down. Now this offense tries to figure out a way to move the chains after the 2nd down misfire. Pre-snap motion, quarterback trying to get a read. Good tackle there to stop him short of the 1st down. It'll bring up a big decision. Now on 4th down, here comes the field goal team. Splits the uprights right down the middle. And that lead grows even bigger. And for a quick update, let's go to Kevin Connors in the studio.
Week in and week out, guys, you never know what's going to happen in college football. Check this out. Arkansas needs to pick up the pace, but this puppy is far from over. And with this crowd there in Fayetteville behind them, I'm kind of banking on a comeback. They're trailing by 9 to Mississippi State. We'll circle back if anything big happens you need to know about.
Thanks for the update on that one, Kevin. Let us know when it goes final. Rice rushes to the line. He's going to pass. He'll take a deep shot here. He makes a grab, and he takes it all the way. They couldn't stop him. Touchdown, Owls. And it's up and good as they draw just a touch closer. Lining up to cover the kick after that touchdown drive.
UTSA 52, Rice 42.
Here he comes from inside his own 5. Not a lot of space to be found. Good hustle by the coverage team, and they stop him at the 21. UTSA takes over in the offense, ready to hit the field. Guys, that last trip, a little disappointing having to take the 3.
Yeah, and I think, Jesse, you see so many offenses talk about getting yards and the tempo and all the stuff they do. It was a nice job moving the football, but they got to get in the end zone this time.
Yeah, and I think to do that, they just got to be more physical at the point of attack, get some push up front. They need to be the best running team in this game to win.
I know exactly what I have to do here. Defensively, we got to get the stop. So we're playing run. We're selling out to run because we're thinking they're going to run the football, and we got 3 timeouts. Let's use them wisely. Let's use those timeouts, save as much clock as we can so our offense has some time on the clock to do some damage when they get the football back.
They'll keep it on the ground, trying to milk the clock. He's knocked down in the backfield. He'll lose a couple. They'll try to move the chains on 3rd and short from the 27. We've reached a 2-minute warning, and this offense will be quite content just to drain the rest of the time away. This 3rd down play might be the last chance for this defense to stay in the game. From the gun, wants to pass. And he just throws it away on 3rd down. I don't think you can give up on a play like that. The Roadrunners send out the punt unit. The punters have had the day off up to this point, first one of the game. And the punt team able to smack him to the ground. Rice has the ball back, and they're ready to send the offense back to the field. Back to throw, it's Gibbs. It's complete. He's run out of bounds, but not before turning in a big pickup and moving the sticks for a 1st down.
Well, this offense has a ton of work left ahead of them here in this 2-minute situation late in the game, but the drive off to a good start. You get the 1st down, you get out of bounds, you work in the perimeter of the field. That is exactly what you want to do.
They move the tight end all over. Wants to throw on 1st down. He wants a big play here late. This is caught for the late touchdown, so let's not put this one to bed just yet.
Yeah, and that's step 1. Great job by this offense getting in the end zone. Now you got to go get the stop. You got to get the football back. You got to find a way to do something to create a turnover, get an onside, to get the football back, to get back in this football game.
Almost ready to kick it away after scoring the touchdown. On the run from inside his own 5. Nice job executing all of the assignments as they put a stop to that return at the 22. UTSA will take over in the offense, ready to return to the field. Now we've got a little game pressure, and we'll see how the offense responds in a 3-point game, Jesse.
I can't wait to see this quarterback and how he's going to be able to handle that pressure, David. How will he respond in this situation?
And just knowing, listen, I'm only up by 3 now. If I can make this a 2-score game, I can almost put this away in the 4th quarter.
Didn't get much on 1st down. It's 2nd and 9. They think they can impose their will here with the run to the right. Defense uses a timeout quickly, trying to get that ball back and preserve time for their offense.
I think if your offense here, the game boils down to this one play on 3rd down with the lead late. If you get the 1st down, that's ball game. There's not enough time left for the defense to get it back and go march down the field. So let's dial up our best play offensively. Let's make sure our best players are touching the football here.
Just what they were looking for to get this drive rolling. They're out to the 35. So with the late lead, they're ready to just drain the clock in victory formation. And it looks as if the offense will just take a knee. And now this team has fallen into a 3-game slide, and a season of promise has now had a lot of promises broken.
Yeah, this is a team that really needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror right now and make a decision. What are we going to be? What am I about? What am I willing to do at this point of the season to get this thing turned around? A lot of tough and real conversations are going to have to take place.
And this is when the coaches really make their money, right? How can I get my kids to focus when I know there's probably not a lot to play for down the road? So let's win every game. Let's win every battle. Let's spoil other people's seasons on the way out, even though our season didn't pan the way we wanted it to.
So that's going to do it for us. For Jesse Palmer, David Pollack, I'm Reese Davis saying so long. This has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football.